views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hola everyone, and welcome to Open BxRx Remote, brought to you from my living workspace, Cherry Executive Suite. I'm Rena Valentin, your host Café con Leche every Friday. Here's what's coming up in today's show. Leading things off, we'll hear from the New Bronx Chamber of Commerce and the different ways the organization is helping small businesses throughout the Bronx, especially as we gear up for Small Business Saturday. After that, we'll be joined by artist and illustrator Talisa Almonte to discuss the inspiration behind creating Almonte Studio and her artwork. Then we'll speak to bartender and small business owner Tony Del Pino about his brand of Poquito called the Poquito Shop for all to enjoy this holiday season. Later on in the show, Bobby C brings us an up-to-date with the latest headlines in the world of sports. And lastly, this week's Open Artist Spotlight shines on singer and songwriter Victory, who will talk about her upcoming EP, Let's Go, followed by a performance at the end of the show. So sit back y prepárate. All this and more is headed your way, because now we are officially open. Hey everyone, and welcome to Open. I'm Rena Valentin, your host Café con Leche for the next hour, inviting you to get social with us online. That is, tweet us and follow us on Instagram at BronxNet TV and like us on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. And of course, while you're there, follow moi on Twitter, FB, Instagram, Insta Stories, and LinkedIn at Rena Valentin. So it's officially the holiday season, and many people are looking to shop local in celebration of Small Business Saturday. So our next guests are part of the New Bronx Chamber of Commerce, which provides resources while giving a voice to small businesses through its programs. And joining us to tell us more, we welcome capacity building consultant Sarah Benizio and membership manager Francisco Aguilar. Hello and welcome.
Thank you so much for having us. It's always a delight to be with you in any virtual or live setting. So thank you so much.
I know.
Pleasure to be here.
Well, welcome, Francisco. Welcome to the New Bronx Chamber of Commerce, which is a wonderful opening in just the title itself, right? It was originally the Bronx Chamber of Commerce. And so why was it retitled the New Bronx Chamber of Commerce? Sarah.
So we have seen so many changes, and one of them was in leadership. We have our fabulous president, Soren, who became president January 1st, 2019, and there was just a sweeping changes in, advocacy, approach, membership programming, et cetera. And, along with it, a little bit of a rebrand.
Yes, and a lot of work from what I've seen just scrolling through the website. So I guess my first question is like, since you are almost serving as a hub, what has that been like, being this central resource for the small businesses throughout this pandemic?
So the work I've been doing has largely been internal, working with the staff to streamline, to optimize, all of our operations. There was a lot of work that needed to be done in concert with the pivot, so to speak, that buzzword of the pandemic, in order to shift from a mainly networking focused organization to one that could not meet in person and had to shift, very rapidly to small business recovery, doing whatever needed to happen to help keep our small businesses open. We had workers furloughed, we had, storefronts shuttered, everybody needed PPE, there was none to be found. The chamber really stepped up to fill in that role, and thus there was, also a significant shift in programming during that time. So I'm going to let Francisco, speak to that, because he was one of the team that was out, boots on the ground with the launch of the Small Business Resource Network, providing these, hand-holding and resource navigation to these businesses. In the interim, I was working with the staff to develop an internship connector, which is our pilot platform that helps connect student interns who, weren't able to find federal work-study jobs on campus, et cetera, with opportunities with our businesses out in the community. So it was a very cool opportunity to meet a need. So that's just a couple of examples of how things have shifted, over the past couple of years. Francisco, I'm going to lobby over to you, because you are the one that has such wonderful, rich, storied experiences with us. And we're talking all of the small businesses in the Bronx, not just our membership core. So I want to be clear about that, thousands versus hundreds. So
got it. All right, so Francisco, the floor is yours. And what she just described has a lot of layers. And so perhaps you, I guess, being the membership manager, if you want to lead into how you became the membership manager and give us a little background on how you hit the ground running.
Yeah, definitely. So I joined the chamber team in October of 2020, and I was lucky enough to be part of our Small Business Resource Network, which was a program funded through the Peterson Foundation and is spearheaded through each of the 5 chambers for each borough. The Bronx had 2 specialists on board, and we were able to hit up every business, or at least attempt to make a touch with every business here in the Bronx. We were having conversations regarding financing assistance, marketing help, technology improvements, and just what can we do as a chamber to help them from shutting their doors. October 2020 was a much different time than we are experiencing now. So obviously that program is still going strong. We just have a different face to it. People aren't facing closures anymore. Now they're looking to revamp maybe for the holidays or for Small Business Saturday. Looking to get their business online is something that we've been able to push a little more seriously, since some businesses are a little more comfortable. But obviously there's still a need for some of those big financing, such as grants and loans. Businesses have gone months or almost a year possibly without getting any real funding opportunities. And us as a chamber, we have access to many different opportunities. So it's just about spreading it, letting them know that there are resources for them and they are within reach. It's just about putting the effort in, reaching out and making those connections to be able to secure that.
Yeah, and so with what you're sharing and this Back to Business NYC program, does one need to be a member of the chamber? And if so, how do they become a member of the chamber? And what are those qualifications? Is it business? Can it be independent contractors? What does the membership look like at the Bronx Chamber of Commerce?
So the program that I just described is a completely free program. The Small Business Resource Network will help any business that's within the 5 boroughs. In almost any kind of need that they have. But in terms of our Bronx Chamber membership, it's open to a lot of different businesses. If you're a nonprofit, if you're a sole proprietor, we will take your membership application and we'd be happy to help you out and have a discussion. Our chamber doesn't really look at businesses as if we turn them down. It's just about where do you fit in a sense. We have many different benefits that assist different business owners. So it's about finding a right package for you and finding the benefits that could best assist us as a partnership together.
Right. And so the Small Business Resource Center is, it's virtual, or you conduct workshops? Are they virtual workshops? I'm just trying to assist the small businesses that may be still seeking those outlets.
Yeah, so any business that's interested in becoming part of the network can sign up at smallbiz.nyc, a short URL, fill out the application. There'll be a specialist that's able to make communication either through email or phone within a few days. We have specialists still a part of our team, and they're working every day to make sure that they get the communication that these businesses need, because I feel like that's probably the most important part, just having these discussions with businesses, letting them know that there are resources out there that are still available for them, like they didn't stop, and just making the point known.
So Francisco was that specialist, right? He was the specialist who was assisting all those businesses, and then he segued into membership, and he's brought a few new members with him. People see the value of the association with the chamber through those free resources that were provided, and then they want to become part of it for the next phase of their recovery and growth. So,
Right. That which was my next question was, what does Small Business Saturday look like this year? I know last year it was a serious pivot of people resorting to virtual purchasing and or setting up their websites to make it accessible on that level. What does it look like this year?
So I'm seeing that we're a little later than we usually are in terms of business. I think it's just everything's so touch and go these days. Still with the pandemic, we want to be quote unquote back to normal, and a lot of things are starting to shift into a semblance of what I don't know what we looked at as normal back in the day, in terms of being open and being able to shop in person. There's, the strong online component remains, of course. But as far as what I'm seeing from our small businesses, what they're sharing on our social media, et cetera, I think everybody's just starting to come into the fold with their offerings of a very mixed nature. I do know of one specific promotion from wink, wink, Metro Optics, one of our corporate level members at the Bronx Chamber, who recently announced that they're going to be starting a week-long raffle beginning on Small Business Saturday, in person at all 4 Metro locations for a pair of Lucid eyewear, which is really excellent, connected smart glasses. You can Bluetooth, listen to music, take phone calls, and they actually look really great. They don't look like you're wearing a computer on your face. They're a nice.
Oh my gosh, frame. I know. I should be doing this with you because I'm actually wearing them. These are Lucids. These are Lucid lights from Metro Optics, and yes, I'm able to receive.
Not planned, you guys. I swear.
It wasn't. But I got to go with the flow here. I mean, this is what's out now, and this is the day and age that we're living in. And it's also hands-free, being able to work with the device hands-free, having a conversation hands-free. But
I know you need 8
pretty
hands.
Cool. That's a pretty cool raffle, huh?
I said, you need 8 hands to do everything that you do. So exactly. There you go. Right.
They don't call me the octopus lady for nothing, right?
So that's one of the deals that I am aware of. That raffle is happening beginning Small Business Saturday. A lot of our business improvement districts hold events in which they welcome, shoppers from, across their districts to come shop small. They have all the swag, the stickers, the shopping bags, all that good stuff. Obviously, it's sponsored and run by American Express. Our street team, so the aforementioned business outreach specialists that are working through the Small Business Network to provide all those resources, they're also going to be out distributing in bulk those bags and stickers to our Bronx small businesses in order for them to be able to do whatever they want, maybe sweeten the deal on a purchase, spend a minimum amount and you get one of these nice totes with you, that kind of a thing, or just give them away. So you will be seeing some of our Bronx Chamber specialists out, distributing over the next couple of weeks.
That's wonderful. Wow.
I'm going to be sharing on all of our social platforms, whatever comes my way from all of our members, as well as those small businesses in the network that we've touched, because, we want to give airtime to those who, could use a little extra exposure as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both for making the time to come and share with our viewers. Once again, that capacity, the new Bronx Chamber of Commerce capacity building consultant, Sarah Benizio, along with membership manager, Francisco Aguilar. And we're talking all things Small Business Saturday, as well as Back to Business NYC programs. And for you guys, if you're interested in more of the resources and to learn more about participating stores for Small Business Saturdays, you can visit bronxchamber.org. All right, we have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll hear about a small art business creating, they're creating wrapping paper during this pandemic. Don't go anywhere. everyone, welcome back. Our next guest is a Dominican Afro-Latina artist and digital illustrator who recently created Almonte Studio, a business named after her late father during the pandemic. With her background in fashion, graphic design, and traditional fine arts, she's been able to create a business showcasing her artistry with a mission to spread positivity, spark joy, and empower those through her work. And joining us to tell us more, we welcome artist and illustrator Felisa Almonte. Hello and welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for being with us. I know you're in Miami, Florida. That's the beauty of these virtual interviews.
Yes, soaking up some sunshine.
Good for you. I know you're out there celebrating, or you celebrated your birthday, so happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
It's a nice way to celebrate, like you said, soaking up the sunshine. Unlike over here, it's starting to get cold. But let's talk about you and this newfound studio that was just developed in this year, February of 2021. And I guess what got you there prior to getting on air, I know you shared a little bit of your background with regards to servicing both The Gap as well as Victoria's Secrets in your respective field, having come from a background of artistry in studying fine arts and FIT. So let's just share with everyone exactly how you got to Almonte Studio.
Yeah, sure. So growing up as a kid, I always drew with my dad. So I pretty much found my love of art through there. And I studied at a high school where I did fine arts and got introduced to fashion. So then my love of fashion came in. And then I went to FIT, which was incredible. And I really just loved design. So after graduating, I started working for Victoria's Secret, where I learned more about the graphics world, focusing on apparel graphics and learning techniques and colors. And then moving on to Gap, I did more conceptual roles. So I studied trends and translated them into a more commercial way, which really just influenced my sense of taking in like colors and making, how it translates into everyday life.
And so during the pandemic, you were laid off.
Yes. So as everyone knows, the pandemic was rough. But in that, I found my silver lining, which was having more time to dedicate to my craft and my love of art, which was always what was in the back of my mind. And with the passing of my father, I felt that this was the best way to honor him and his legacy. He was always proud of me for continuing in art and drawing. And that really, the project that I did with the Poster Posse, where I got to illustrate for Disney Plus, that pretty much gave me the confidence to follow my dreams and establish Almonte Studio.
That's awesome, right? You designed for Rogue One?
Yes,
That's
and it
great.
was amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And for you, what you're saying is that was almost like a validation of what you're really capable of doing.
Exactly.
So what's that like, shifting from being someone else's employee to becoming the employer?
So I have to say, overall, it's great as a creative person. It really gives you a lot of flexibility and freedom to be able to create and work on projects that I'm really passionate about and align with my values.
And so I will say your website is very, very refreshing to scroll through. It's it's warm, and it definitely radiates positivity. And I want to just share with our viewers a little bit about your artistry, because you have variations. You have the illustrations. I know you do licensing for branding, for marketing and companies. And then there's also this wrapping paper concept that I thought was really cool as well.
Yes. So with that, so yes, my main focus is illustration. So that can come in packaging design. It can come in just custom portraits. But I also, with my background being in like graphics and concepts, I feel like it's given me an edge where I've gotten to learn a lot of techniques and tools, and that has really helped my business. So that's kind of where the graphic design part really has like merged perfectly with my illustration. And with Wrapper, the company that does the wrapping paper, it's an alternative to wrapping paper for the holidays. So it's wraps that you can use and, you know, to wrap your gifts, but you can also put them in your hair. So it's a really sustainable way of gifting.
It's actually almost like ecologically friendly, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's a gift within itself.
Right. It's a gift within itself, right? Even
Yeah.
though wrapping paper, it's wrapping paper that's artsy and fashionable, that is wrapping a gift that you can then repurpose.
Exactly.
That is so what's up. And so let's talk about the imagery that you use with the style of the women, the way they look. They are obviously women of color. They're all fashionably dressed, and they all have their own messaging. So let's talk about those layers in your work.
So I, being an Afro-Latina myself, I had a love-hate relationship with my hair, as many of us do. And so I really, I really want to focus on, you know, that female empowerment, that empowerment that comes with owning who you are and how you were born and how you look, and embracing your hair. And so I really focus on representing women of color and embracing their natural beauty. I just think that that's very important. And I wish I would have had more of that representation growing up as a kid.
And so the work that I'm looking at, they come in various forms of just whether it's a portrait or painting or I mean, some of them even look like installations. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm looking at this one thing, and I don't know, perhaps it's the way it's captured. It looks like CDs, but I don't even know if they are CDs, but they're beautiful.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I feel like with any project that I take on, I always try to bring in that diversity. For example, with the Women's Collective box, that was like a packaging design, and I illustrated all the women on there, and she's very big on representing women and all kinds of women. So that was a project that really aligned with my values as an artist. And so I just love being able to share my work and share that, you know, there's other beautiful Latinas and women out there that don't necessarily look, you know, cookie cutter like maybe we've seen in magazines all the time.
Right. And so it's important that everyone understand what we're really discussing is, like, aside from you taking the plunge and opening up your own business, you're actually being true to your roots in highlighting women of color, with incorporating your fine arts abilities, as well as your commercialized mentality, having worked for these certain industries, and then really living out your purpose in making sure that the messaging is a contribution to humanity and elevating everyone's mindset. It's beautiful. Everything I really enjoyed going through your website, and I especially love that portrait behind you, which is one of your fine art pieces, right?
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, this is a painting I did a few, like many years ago, but that's really, I started oil painting, so that's my root of all the trajectory of what I'm doing now.
Well, congratulations to you, and thank you for bringing it here to our viewers. I hope it encourages you all to shop local and make sure you visit her website. And she's actually having a special sale for Small Business Saturday weekend, and to purchase some of her work, all you have to do is go to almontestudio.com. All right, we do have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll hear about a flavorful coquito for you to enjoy just in time for the holiday season. Don't go anywhere. Hey everyone, welcome back. Having coquito is a traditional Christmas drink that originated in Puerto Rico and is sometimes referred to as the Puerto Rican eggnog, which I beg to differ. However, there is something culturally comforting about the drink, especially during the holidays. And it's every year it seems to just grow in popularity, both in flavors and households. And so our next guest, he created his own personal secret recipe of coquito with different flavors for us to all to enjoy all year round. And he's joining us to tell us more. Please welcome the Coquito Shop owner, Tony Del Pino. Hello and welcome.
How you doing, Rena? Nice to see you. Thank you for the invite here. It's a pleasure.
Well. And you notice how I made the introduction sacred, right?
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
the thing about coquito, especially myself being Puerto Rican and growing up in a household where that was everything, everybody's recipe, and everybody
Absolutely.
had their own secret ingredients. Is there's even I think a national competition for coquito when this time of the year comes around. So
Yeah, for
I
sure.
want to know what compelled you to get into the business of coquito.
Well, that's a great question. So growing up, we would have it from time to time. I didn't think the first time I tasted it was about, see, I'm 35 now, was probably 10 years ago. And it was good. I always enjoyed it, but my family doesn't have a recipe that's been handed down to me. And so, I'm a bartender by trade. I currently bartend in the city. And I said, you know what? Let me create my own recipe that I can hand down at some point. And so, it's 2019, holidays 2019, I said, all right, you know what? Let me just start a brand. I'll do it for the holidays. I'll get a label. I'll make it look official. And I figured with my expertise in mixology, I can create a pretty good recipe. And so I had some great support. Um, Pandemic happened in 2020, and we everyone in the industry, hospitality industry, lost their jobs. And I said, you know what, I don't like staying at home. I can't stay at home for more than like a week. I'll go insane. I was like, let me just open up shop in the middle of summer and see what happens. And from that day on, like the feedback was incredible. I was super surprised how many people wanted coquito in like May, June, July. And the reality is that coquito is not just for the holidays. It can be had all year round because it's really more about a mentality. Like for me, coquito signifies like community. It signifies friendship. It signifies family, loved ones, celebration. It can be had at any time, and so that's really sort of like the basis of my ideology for this brand, and just want to push it forward out there.
No, and I get it, and it's received, right? But we are all raised with this cultural practice of just making it when the holiday seasons come around, right? Along with pasteles, it's like this cultural thing
Absolutely.
that always happens at the same time of the year.
Yes. I mean, they all go hand in hand. This is the best time. Listen, it can be had all year round. This is the best time to have it, though, for sure.
Right. So I'm surprised to hear that you didn't have a secret recipe passed down to you, but it's refreshing to hear that as a mixologist, you came up with your own style, right? And your own flavor. So, and I understand you have 4 flavors that you offer.
Yeah, correct. So currently we have our original, the OG, just like classic flavor. We have our bustelo, which has been pretty popular with everyone. A lot of people tend to use it as a coffee creamer in the morning. We have, for those who love chocolate, we have our chocolate, sort of like semi-sweet chocolate that we use. And then for the wintertime, I do pumpkin spice.
Wow. So look at that. You even using it as a creamer for coffee.
I mean,
Ouch.
so many ways you can use it. I mean, I've thrown coquito in a blender with some ice and becomes like a frappe.
Wow. So you officially launched in during the summer months, right? And you're saying that you set up shop what outside? How did you?
Meaning just like really putting my presence on Instagram and like promoting it all over New York. And so the day that I started that, I would say a week later, I think I had about 60 orders come in. And it's sort of been consistent since. I mean, not as much this year, just because not everyone's locked up inside like we were last year.
Right.
But still, to have continued support, every month throughout the year is just it's a blessing, and I'm I'm just so thankful for everyone and their support.
I do gotta say, like when we interview artists and or just creatives, right, and independent contractors, it's so refreshing to just hear how everyone's pivot, right? Because we were all kind of forced to be in a corner.
Mhm.
Somehow it kind of created its own movement in like going, hey, what if this never happened? If this would have never happened, then perhaps I would have never pursued this or moved this forward.
Right. I think that's a great point. I think it's one of those things like, yeah, when you are put in the corner, all right, well, what are you going to do about it, right? And so I know for me personally, like when there's pressure mounting on me, I feel like that's when I perform the best as a former athlete playing basketball in high school and college. That's sort of like I'm totally into that type of like chaos, which might make me a masochist a little bit. But
Oh gosh, we have
I
that on
think that's
camera.
I think that's when we thrive the best when they just say, all right, well, what are you going to do about it? So I agree with you 100%. If the
So
pandemic
that's how
didn't
you
happen,
kept yourself busy, right? Is what you're saying. You
for
kept
sure.
yourself busy, but now it's grown into this business that the next question is like how much of it do you make regularly?
Well, see, now I'm probably making about 30 to 40 bottles a week, and it's about to pick up. It's probably going to double um, within the next week or two, and triple
Yeah.
by the end of December.
And so in those 30 to 40 bottles, you're making all four flavors?
Yeah, it all depends what people are asking. So it's I would say the best ones or the most popular ones is the original and the Bustelo. Um, but yeah, whatever people want, we get it to them.
So why is it called Butelo? Does it have coffee in it?
I use Bustelo coffee as the base, so there is coffee in that particular coquito.
Also, it could be used by itself. It doesn't even need to be a creamer for coffee.
No, it doesn't. I'm just people tend to use it though as a coffee creamer. Like, hey, you want to get your booze in the morning? I'm not going to stop.
Right.
So you do what you got to do to get through the day.
Good. He's like, I'm a mixologist. I'm a judgment-free zone here.
Once you have it, you do what you want with it. It's on you. Oh.
All right. So tell us about the ordering process. How does that work? Like how far in advance do people need to order and what kind of turnaround do you have?
So
From
usually, great question. Usually I ask people to give me 48 to 72 hours to place an order. Everything is small batch, so I kind of do it a la carte, a la minute. Um, Very difficult to do last day or last minute unless I have a bunch on hand, which usually I don't because as soon as I make it, I have to get it out. You can reach out through Instagram, through DMs, or through email. I really like the personal touch and like having the conversation with people just in case they have any questions on the ordering process or the product themselves because there are a lot of people who reach out and they don't have any idea what coquito is. So for me, that's great because I get to explain to you what it is. I get to give you a piece of my culture and really just a piece of myself and where I come from.
All right. And before we go, what kind of shelf life are we looking at?
1 year minimum.
One year.
As long as you keep it refrigerated, and there's no extreme change in temperature, 1 year minimum, without a doubt.
Wonderful. And you having any sales for Small Business Saturday?
So for Small Business Saturday, for those who order that weekend, that Saturday and that Sunday, I will give them 15% off the entire order. It has to
Wonderful.
be done that Sunday, 11:59 p.m. or whatever date that is, 28th, I believe. As long as you get it in, you will get 15% off the entire order.
Bravo, bravo. You heard that right here on Open. Tony Del Pino, the owner of the Coquito Shop. Woo!
Yes.
All
Thank you for
right.
having me
You
on.
guys, ¿cómo?
No, I said thank you for having me on. And also, I do want to make a quick note. Part of what we do at the Coquito Shop is there'll be certain months during the year where we'll take proceeds from our sales and donate it to a nonprofit in the city that sort of speaks to some of my values. And so currently, there is a nonprofit called City Growers NYC. And what they do is basically they are teaching the youth about urban farming and food sustainability, which is important for me. I think getting access to good food is important. I mean, think about our communities in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Uptown, where there is a lack of good food. and there should be no reason for that. And
I
so,
love that. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing that. So it's not just solely about getting the coquito, it's about passing it forward and
absolutely.
spreading the wealth within the community so that we can learn how to self-sustain. Bravo, bravo.
Thank you very
Tony Del
much.
Pino, nice, very well done. All right, you guys, once again, for more on the Coquito shop, he takes orders through his Instagram, and you already heard 48 to 72 hours turnaround. All right. And once again, his Instagram account is the Coquito Shop, at the Coquito Shop. You can DM there. All right. Stay tuned. Bobby C's weekly sports roundup is coming up next.
When it comes to Formula One journalists, our guest this morning is absolutely the best of the best. Second time here on the show, we welcome Maurice Hamilton joining us from the UK. Hey, Maurice, how are you?
I'm fine, Bobby, and lovely to see you again. Thank you very much for having this chat.
And it's so great to see you. So excited to get a chance to talk to you about your latest book, which is on the set with me, and of course, a tremendous Formula One season. I wanted to quickly highlight your amazing career, over 40 years covering this amazing sport, award-winning journalist and author of over 30 books. And one of the things I wanted to chat with you this morning about is some of those great stories that you've told about your dad. I mean, he seems to be the one that really got you into Formula One and racing, and even kind of sharing those stories with some of your fans about him sneaking into the pits at Mercedes and asking for autographs, saying that it was for you when it really was for him. I mean, those are some amazing stories about your dad.
He was just mad about cars. So he was born in 1919. And he was the son of a grocer. And across the road from the grocery shop in the provincial town where he grew up, there was a garage that was actually an agent for Riley cars, which were then made, the British car made in those days. So he was also across the road in the garage looking at the cars and tinkering with them and so on. And motorsport was something that was just, for him in those days in Northern Ireland, it was something way far-fetched. It was outside their remit, with one exception. And that was that they had a classic race called the Tourist Trophy Race. And it had been going from donkey's years before that. And it was held on a circuit in Northern Ireland called the Ard Circuit, which is a road circuit, which connected three major areas, the south of Belfast to Newtownards to Cumber, this triangular road circuit. And it was about probably half an hour from where my dad lived. And of course, when that came to town, that Mercedes were there and everybody was there, Nuvolari, Caraccio, all the big names would come over to Northern Ireland. Can you imagine? This was a very big deal for him as a little boy. And he was in what they call the Scouts, which is a youth organization. And they used the Scouts to be messengers at the racetrack. So in other words, there was no radio communication between the marshal's post because the road circuit was, I think it was about 14, 15 miles long, so very long. And they needed to communicate, the marshals needed to communicate with each other. And they used Boy Scouts to take messages, handwritten messages from one marshal's post to another. And that's what my dad did. So he was involved in the race. carrying these messages. And one of the teams in the TT for a couple of years was Riley. And they were garaged in the garage. They were looked after in the garage across the road from where he lived. So he saw these racing cars across the road. So he got absolutely besotted with the whole thing. And then when the Tourist Trophy then moved to a Dundrod circuit, which is an 8-mile road circuit north of Belfast, which was a fabulous circuit. And that's where I saw my first motor race with him when I was age 7. And that's when all the stories started about how he was pushing me forward to get an autograph, saying it's for the boy, but it was for him. And how he somehow got himself into the Mercedes pit. How, we don't know, but he did. And he's a picture of Moss making a pit stop, and the Sterling Moss making a pit stop. And the photograph is taken from across the track. So there's the side view of the Mercedes 300 SLR, the Mercedes pit. And there's my dad in the background peering. You can see his face peering in. And to this day, well, until he died, we still didn't know how he did it. But he said, I don't know how I did it, but he got in anyway. So you can imagine, I mean, with all of that going on in his mind and then transferring it to me, it was quite natural that I was going to, age 7, seeing a classic motor race at Dundrod with Jaguar there, Aston Martin, Mercedes-Benz. They were all there, all the top drivers, Fangio, everybody was there. To see that at an early age, there's only one place that was going to go, wasn't it? And that was to be involved in motor racing. What else are you going to do?
And you could definitely tell your dad's influence in your life and kind of foreshadowing for your career, because you were able to speak your way into Formula One. And I think it's interesting, too, that a trip to Monaco in 1973 really is what changed your life forever.
Yes. I went there with my father. He took me. We went to the British Grand Prix a couple of times in 1959, 1962. And then I'd been with my friends to the British Grand Prix in 66, but my dad and I went to Monaco in 73, and we were sitting in the spectator stand, and I'm watching this thinking, my God, I love this sport, but I'm just at that time, 1973, what was I? I was a salesman. I was selling houses, I think, or plastic pipe or something boring, and I'm thinking, I'm seeing these guys who are journalists with armbands on, walking about on the track. I'm thinking, I'd love to do that. How do I do that? And I'm talking to my dad about this, and I'm saying, he said, well, can you write? And I said, I don't think I can write. He said, well, why don't you try something? I said, well, I don't know what to try. There's no point in me writing a report, because those journalists that we can see are going to write the report. Got to do something different. So I decided to write a story about what it's like to be up in the grandstand as a spectator. So to tell readers who hadn't been to Monaco what it's like to go there, what you see, and what's the atmosphere like, and is it worth it, and where to stay, and all the rest of it. And I made notes all weekend, put it all together, and formed it into sort of story, and got it published. And that was the start.
And I love those stories, Morris. Really great stuff. And you ended up becoming a full-time journalist, Formula One, in 1977. And as we just mentioned before, Murray Walker, Incredible, a tribute to a Formula One legend, your very new book that is out. Murray, of course, for the fans at home that know him or do not know him, he recently passed away March of 2021. He was a friend and colleague of yours. Was it difficult to put this book together?
It was probably, in one sense, the easiest book I've ever done of the 40 plus books, simply because it was an absolute pleasure, and because the 40 plus people that I spoke to all wanted to contribute, all wanted to say, oh, yes, please, I've got a story to tell you. Yes, please. And it was, sometimes when you do a book, the character that you're doing the book about, there may be a dark side to them that, you have to touch on to make the book complete. And it's going to be tricky. And you talk to people and they don't want to talk about it, or they go, well, he was all right, but, and there's the but that they don't want to talk about, or they do, and it's a bit tricky. But with Murray, nobody had a bad word to say about him, nobody. So it was just a joy to do. The hard side of it was the publishers wanted to get it out now before Christmas, naturally. It meant it had to be turned around pretty quickly, because as you said, Bobby, he died in March, towards the end of March, and I had to have it written by the end of June. And that was a lot of work. but thoroughly enjoyable. I mean, it was a pleasure.
So Murray is, to me, the voice of Formula One. When is the first time that you meet him?
Would you believe it was actually on, it might have been that trip we talked about, 1973 Monaco, on the flight. It was a package tour by a company called Page and Moy, and Murray was on it. And he happened, on the flight back, he happened to be sitting beside me and my dad. And we got talking to him. But, you know, he couldn't remember that, and I wouldn't expect him to. But I did, and my dad did. The first time I spoke to him professionally, I can't really tell you, Bobby. I don't know. All I do know is that he treated me like everybody else. I was a newcomer, and why would he bother with me? But he would come up and say, "Hello, I'm Murray Walker. I hear you're Morris Hamilton. How do you do? Welcome." And just, you know, all enveloping, generous in spirit, kind. Anything I can do to help, let me know. And lots of people have told me the same story when they first met him. And so I can't tell you when it was, but it would have been in 77, 78 at a Grand Prix somewhere. But yeah, he was just utterly welcoming, and he would see you and say, "How are you getting on? You know, how's it going?" You know, and he read everything, of course. So he would know what you were doing. And he would say, "Oh, I saw you're writing for so-and-so now. That's very good." Or, "You're writing for this newspaper. Oh, how's that going? Will you be okay?" Yeah. So no specific dates, but the overall picture is of just, as I discovered, having spoken to so many people, a very kind, generous man who would see in you what he had himself, which was enthusiasm. If you were enthusiastic and loved it like he did, you're in. That was fine by him.
That was part one of our interview with legendary journalist and author Morris Hamilton on his newest book about the late, great Murray Walker. Tune in Monday for part two.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Our last guest is a singer and songwriter who's been singing and creating music her entire life. She describes herself as a synth pop artist, taking inspiration from various artists such as The Weeknd, Adam Lambert, and Her, to name a few. This year, she was a City Artist Quartz grantee, and she recently released her new single, Let's Go. And here to share more about her music, we welcome Victory. Hello, Victory.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi, so happy to be here. This is my first interview, and I am very excited that it is with BronxNet.
Yay, we love that. We love first comers. Yay. And then later on in life, when you go off and win your Grammy, you come back and you remember this was your first interview. But let's start with your congratulating you on your City Arts Quartz grant. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that was like a $5,000 grant in which you had to put something together, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that and what that felt like for you when you realized that you won it.
When I won it, I was so happy, and then I was like, oh, I really have to put this together. So I got it at the end of August, and I put everything together by October 23rd. So it was really a lot. It was a learning experience. I reached out to professors, peers, and like I had to get the venue, get the artist myself, come up with an idea. And I'm so happy that this grant was able to birth the project idea, which was Come Back to You.
But the idea is that you were put in the position to curate on top of being also having the opportunity to present in front of a live audience. So my next question to you is that your first time coming back to a live audience since the pandemic?
Yeah, this is definitely my first time performing since the pandemic. This is one of my first times performing my own music live as well since the pandemic. So it was a really humbling experience, not just for me, but to be around so many amazing artists and seeing them perform their live music as well.
And so that's wonderful. So you created a space for other artists to share in that experience with you. And also, I know that prior to getting on air, you were sharing with me that sometimes you work as a production assistant and you work in audio musical, right? You're doing audio in a musical, and you also do sound design. And I want to say, like, all those skill sets loan themselves to you being able to curate and produce this Come Back to You event.
Yeah, everything honestly has just been all of these gifts and all of these skills that I've like acquired have really helped putting everything together. Especially the sound side, being able to get the different types of sounds because I didn't want to just get artists that I enjoyed. Want to make sure it was a variety of genres. And then my major is actually media communications. So a lot of the leg work was with promoting on social media because I didn't get any paid advertisements.
Right. And so what kind of a turnout did you have?
It was great, especially since we had to comply with the NYC vaccine mandate. We got about 150 people for the first event for all independent artists. Like it was truly amazing, and it was free for everyone, so it was
For the
great.
community, yes, so everybody benefits from it. Everybody benefits from it. That's wonderful. It sounds really exciting. And in addition to that, you've released 2 new songs.
Yes, yeah. So the first one I released was right after I graduated, and then the second one I released was actually about a week ago. And the funny thing about these 2 songs is that I actually don't remember creating these. Like this was during the pandemic, like November, December. And I think just being in school and just, so many things were going on in the pandemic. Like, I don't really remember the process, but I think it's really nice when I perform it and share these songs that like I can create new experiences and the audience members can kind of create their own experience to like take care of that little void that happened there.
Right. Well, it says your titles say a lot. One More Time and Let's Go. Right. The first one is One More Time, and the new release is Let's Go. But before we even introduce the song to our viewers, let's talk about the synth pop category and what that why you identify as such.
I just think like even just putting my songs together and just in general, when I'm listening to music, I will dissect every part and like listen on different platforms. And I notice it's something about synth, it's just the extra element that brings it to life. It's like a little twist on pop. And when I'm producing anything or anything like that, I end up putting a synth sound on it, and yeah.
It's a certain style that you favor, right? And you
Yeah.
do have a unique sound. I do want to share that with our viewers. It's very soothing. So I get it. I get it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And what are we gonna get?
With the song?
Yeah, today, like we're I know you're going to be presenting, so you want to give us a little background on Let's Go. We was just recently released, so we don't have you don't have a video for that one. You have one for One More Time, but you're going to do an exclusive for us here on
Yes.
Open.
Yes.
Give us a little background
video. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely I'm excited for it coming out. And the song is pretty much about escapism and just like you can listen to this anytime, especially now it's winter, it's getting cold. And this is just a song to take you away somewhere when you need to go, but you can't leave because you're at work or you're at home or doing whatever.
Right, so you can just escape in the soothing sounds of victory.
Yes.
Love it. All right, you guys don't go anywhere because when we return, Victory is going to perform Let's Go when we return. everyone. Welcome back. Here now to perform Let's Go. Please welcome Victory.
Do you want to take a trip now? Or do you want to take a ride? Hey, yeah. Tell me everything you see. Give me a fantasy. Let's take a trip, imaginating, captivating you. Believe the things I do. Believe it all, it's true. Don't think about the destination. Come around and can we fly faster than the realities? Can we dive deeper than the ocean can see? I don't want to wait much longer now. I just want to go. Can I play something in your mind? Come on, let's take a ride. It's something once in a lifetime, baby. Don't pay the price of missing out tonight. Baby, just trust your eyes and we can go as far as the galaxy takes you. Can we fly faster than the realities? Can we dive deeper than the ocean can see? I don't want to wait much longer now. I just want to go. I just want to go. Run away with me, just run away. What if we just go right now and never look back and down? Oh, what if we take it slow? Let's just go. Let's just go.
Feel like you're on vacation. At least I want to be on vacation. All right. For more on Victory, woo, let's go. Please make sure to visit victoriesmusic.com and check her out on Instagram at eternal_Nirvana. That is our show today, mi gente. Thanks to all our guests for coming through. To you, our viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, you can check out the recablecast and tonight and 24 hours a day at BronxNet.tv. I'm Rena Valentin, and from all of us here at Open, may the universe provide paz, prosperity, y amor. Adios.